Hi and welcome to this final video from your P6 tutor. In this video I would like to speak to you about those final few things that you need to be careful of. As you know, I avoid the word tips, so I wouldn't say this is a video where I give you tips, but this is a video where I give you advice on what are the things that you need to be prepared for. Now, you know the format of the exam. You've got two sections, Section A and Section B. I often get a question from students asking me, how do we approach the exam? Do we do Section A first or do we do Section B? Ideally, personally, I would go for Section B because there are shorter questions which would not take that much time as much as Section A, and Section A questions tend to be more demanding than the Section B questions. But I would also say that if you find that Section A is something that you're more comfortable with, then put your best foot forward. Always start with a question that you find comfortable. So in the first 15 minutes you'd have read the entire paper and you would have an idea of which question you find, okay, this is reasonably something I can do, or you will have the idea that this is a question, gosh, this is very difficult. Go with your best foot forward. Always do the questions first that you feel comfortable with, but the one thing I would say is stick to time. You have 1.8 minutes per mark. Stick to time. That's extremely important. So if you're doing a question and that question has half an hour to it, do not take more than half an hour. Okay, 2 minutes here or there, I wouldn't be too worried about it. But don't, for a half an hour question, don't take 45 minutes. You're overdoing it. You need to make sure that you allocate your time correctly and attempt every question. If you look at the requirements of the paper, at the front of the paper will say Section A, attempt all questions. Section B, attempt this number of questions. What the requirement is not saying is do 100% of the question. It is saying attempt. Now, if I leave out anything, I'm not following the requirement given to me by the examiner. So, time management is extremely important at this level. You cannot afford to leave out an entire question. If the question needs to be attempted, you need to attempt every question that you have to do. Please don't leave out questions, as that will be detrimental to your marking. When it comes to the requirements, please read the requirements, especially when you're looking at Section A. In Section A, the requirements of the examiner may be spread out between the requirements section and the question itself, as we have seen in the revision phase. And as I've told you before, the requirement is the examiner talking to you. He is telling you what to do. We've seen questions where the examiner has given us a hint of how to approach the question. Now, these are words from the examiner that if we ignore, it's at our own peril, really. We need to be comfortable with how to deal with that requirement. Read the requirement carefully, because that's where the instructions are. If you're not following the instructions, you're not doing what you've been asked for, and therefore you will not be getting the marks for it. So this is as far as the approach, of the exam is concerned. When I look at the topics that we need to be comfortable with before the exam, we've done quite a bit in tuition and revision phase as well, but if I were to pick out a few things in every tax that we've seen, if you look at IHT, what are the things I would tell you to make sure you're comfortable with? Well, first of all, calculating IHT. But this is basic. When you come to P6, calculation of IHT, whether it is lifetime IHT or IHT as a result of death, is basic assumed knowledge for P6. So things that are additional from the basic is things like the reliefs. You've got the BPR, you've got APR, you've got quick succession relief, you've got fall-in value relief. These are things that we need to make sure we are comfortable with, because these are the additional things that come in P6, which I would say are not basic. Also, when it comes to trusts, how do we deal with trusts and a little bit of planning that may be quite asked of you as well. When you look at capital gains tax, with capital gains tax, you need to be comfortable with all the reliefs. Now I've sent you videos, I've specifically done videos for you on CGT reliefs because I know this is a topic that students tend to struggle with. So when you look at any reliefs really, whether it's IHT or CGT, you need to make sure that you know the conditions, when does it apply, how does it apply, in what situation, and sometimes with some reliefs you also have some advantages that may come in as well. So make sure you go over these things and you're comfortable with all of this. When you look at things like income tax, with income tax for individuals, be prepared for a little bit of planning where you have a scenario which tells you this is option 1 and this is option 2, what option is better, or advise the client on what he should do, or calculate the additional taxes of both the options. So be prepared for something like that. And the beauty of that is that the examiner will often tell you how to approach it. So we've done a few questions in class where we've seen a situation where we had one individual who had the option of either buying a car or leasing a car, and we had to look into it together with VAT aspects of it as to what is the best option. So be prepared for something where you have to think a little out of the box to try and give the client better advice about it. Still with income tax, I would say the CEAS, EIS, VCT, make sure you know the conditions, how does it apply, the advantages. These are the reliefs that when it comes to investment planning, you need to make sure that you know these. These are given, examinable, and we need to be comfortable with these. When it comes to individuals, the other things is also options, share options and share schemes. How do we deal with them? What are the advantages? And of course, purchase of own shares as well. When you go to companies, for instance, with companies, make sure you know how do you deal with groups, in particular, connection with losses, group relief losses, or consortium. Now, I know I've thrown around a lot of words in this little video that I'm sending off to you, but these are just my final few words to you. Another thing I would say is ethics. We are expecting a few marks on ethics. Make sure you are comfortable with dealing with questions relating to ethics. And finally, those professional marks. If a question says write a report, you have professional marks for writing the format of the report and also laying out your answer in a professional manner. Just doing the format of the report will not give you full professional marks. Some of the marks are also available with how you communicate the information. So use headings, use paragraphs. Don't just, as I say in class, don't just vomit things on a page. Lay it out nicely as you would expect a professional individual to lay out a report. Have an introduction, have a conclusion, have the body which is nicely headed, which is whether you use headings or whether you use paragraphs, but lay it out nicely. Last but not least, make sure the night before the exam you get yourself some rest. You don't want to be getting to the exam tired, exhausted. The work of the last 6 months will go down the drain if you're not ready to perform on the day. So good luck, take good care of your health before the exam, and good luck for your exam. I will wait to hear from you.